Welcome to the fifth episode of PreciseTarget's Thought Leadership Series, The Retail Record. Our very own CEO, Rob McGovern, sat down with Amy Dowsek, Head of Industry over Retail at IBM Watson Advertising, to discuss the next phase of digital marketing. Enjoy.
All right. Hi, I'm Rob McGovern. I'm the founder of the company, and I'm very excited to host Amy Dowsek today from IBM. Aside from her being one of the really smart people in the industry, I was an intern in college and worked for IBM, and I have a special place in my heart for IBM.
Wonderful. Well, thanks for having me, Rob. My name is Amy Dowsek. I work for IBM Watson Advertising, and I lead the retail vertical for the company.
Great. Well, thank you again for joining us, Amy. So what I'd like to do is ask you a few questions, and these are questions that I can pose, which I thought would be the kinds of questions our customers would ask you. And it's for them. They often get to talk to a salesperson or talk to some customer service person, but they rarely get to talk to one of the experts at a company like IBM. And so I ask the questions, putting myself in their shoes. What would they want to know? And so what I'd like you to do, if you could, is to start at the top about what's different in IBM. You know, you recently acquired Red Hat, which is kind of a hot open source company. You're splitting off your consulting business. Watson Advertising's been getting a lot of attention in the news. And so from your perspective, what's going on at IBM?
Yeah. Well, for IBM Watson Advertising, it's been a rather big year for us. We've gone into market. We've made a lot of noise. And really what we're doing, IBM is bringing AI technology at scale to marketing and media industry for the first time to help brands prepare for the market's upheaval of a cookieless and identifier-free future. So just as IBM has leveraged advanced technology in the past to transform industries like healthcare, like financial services and retail, we believe AI will reinvent the way the digital advertising ecosystem conducts business in an increasingly fluid and disruptive landscape.
Yeah, I'm going to bookmark the cookie issue. I have a later question for you on that because we're in the data business and everybody is kvetching about what's going to happen when you don't have the ability to identify browsers and people, and in your perspective will be really interesting. But so the second question, I'd like to talk about Watson. And when IBM first brought the Watson computer to the market, it started to feel like it was ahead of its time, and that it was technology searching for a problem to solve. And but that was a couple of years ago. So bring us up to date, like what's going on with Watson, and how's it doing in the market?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I'll first start with, so Watson is IBM's AI technology. It helps organizations better predict future outcomes, to automate complex processes, and optimize employees' time so that employees could focus on the high value initiatives. It offers capabilities across language processing and automation. The tool also enables enterprises to scale open and trustworthy AI through explainable technology and systems that can detect and mitigate bias. So while IBM Watson is not a consumer-facing tool, many large-scale initiatives like the US Open, like Masters, which I believe is this weekend, Wimbledon, Grammys, ESPN Fantasy Insights with Watson, they all leverage the company's enterprise-grade AI to power digital experiences for sports and entertainment fans across the globe.
And is it available as a cloud service? Right, if I want to compute something, I can use Watson by API or cloud?
It is. Yeah, and I will get into that a little bit too on, how to use AI, and AI, I think, has been a very buzzworthy word over the last couple of years, how to use it, and applying it to strategy. But I think there's also a little fear in how to use it. But the fear should be taken away. It's relatively easy. We just need to focus on some other things too.
So are you saying that when I tell my kids that when they act up that I'm going to replace them with AI is not a good thing to say? So now, so let's talk about the specific products in Watson Advertising. What are the 2 or 3 really big products that you want to be known for?
Okay, I'm going to focus on 2 of them. One of them I'm going to focus on is weather, and the other one is going to be focusing on Accelerator. So I'll start with weather targeting. So I think everybody knows that IBM bought the weather company several years ago. And one of the main reasons they did was because of the vast amount of weather data that the weather company sat on. And what you can do with weather data is tremendous, especially for brand marketers, from understanding current behaviors to being able to predict future ones. So let me explain why our weather targeting is special. With identifiers going away, there is an increased importance on making sense of big data. Our weather triggers leverage AI to make sense of that data, combining it with consumer behavior and purchasing data. So consumer behavior meaning, how to dress, to shop online, to shop in store, what to eat. Purchase data, obviously meaning triggers tied to sales data. So one case of this is a couple weeks ago, we recently announced some enhanced weather triggers with Nielsen point of sale data. So for these triggers, we worked with Nielsen to marry sales data with weather data so we can see what weather conditions were present when sales of, let's say canned soup spike. So from there, we can create these bespoke triggers to ensure that our partners who are using or wanting to advertise canned soup can do so in the most efficient way as possible. The other thing our weather does is it works across platforms. So we make our weather data available anywhere we can, whether that's programmatically, whether that's out of home, social, OTT, really endless opportunities there. And then lastly, we have a good track record. We have proven to help brands achieve greater receptivity and reduce media waste. So that's weather.
That's the weather, yeah. What's the second one?
The second one is a new tech product. It's one that we announced at CES last year. And the second product is called Advertising Accelerator with Watson. And so what this is, it's a new DCO product that focuses on optimizing creative by KPI, as well as finding new audiences that may not have been apparent before. So the reason why we came to market with this is we found that consumers are being over-targeted with messages that are falling short, meaning that they're not converting, So there's another thing too, recent events. Recent events have made it more important, I think, for brands to connect with authenticity and purpose. Accelerator uses AI to rapidly and continuously make sense of massive and diverse data inputs to deliver relevant creative. And the brands that are using it are having success. We've seen a minimum of 25% increase in campaign performance from start to end.
So now, what I think one of the things I consistently hear from our clients is the crowded and noisy vendor world, and it seems like everyone's telling them they can solve the problem. But when you think about IBM and Watson Advertising, when should the customer call you? Like, what problem do they have where you say they should call us? We're the best at that.
It's such a good question, and it's such an interesting question. And honestly, like the best way I can answer that question is, I think IBM Watson Advertising should be part of the conversation. We may not always be the right partner, but we should be part of the conversation, because the toolkit that we have, whether it's just a media need, whether it's a data need, whether it's a technology need, we have a vast toolkit to solve a lot of those problems. So, I would say if you have a problem, definitely call us, but, definitely want to be a part of that conversation as well, ongoing.
Got it. So it sounds like what you're saying is if the problem requires a consultative approach and a collaborative approach to solving.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yep.
All right. So now you mentioned cookies, and as a techie nerd, I've been saving this question for you that there is a lot of angst about the ability or future inability to identify a consumer, and I've heard you talk before about using AI to disambiguate information and learn who this individual or what this device is. Could you talk about that? Like, what's going on?
Yeah. So this has been a part of our large announcement over the last year. It has to do with, obviously, the third-party cookie. The third-party cookie was never standardized, nor was it built to protect consumer privacy. As a result, we now have a very complex and unclear value exchange across the ecosystem. So when that third party goes away and changes to the mobile identifiers take place, we have an opportunity to lean into AI to deliver increased value for stakeholders across the ecosystem. So we believe open and unbiased AI will be the backbone of the next era of digital marketing because of its cookieless data processing and machine learning capabilities.
So does the AI actually try to figure out a device who's there? Like, how does it contribute to the problem solution?
So the AI doesn't depend, right? It doesn't depend on the identifiers, right? So it can create. I'll take our weather data, right? Our weather data isn't based on cookies. So what the AI will do is to help create, obviously the data points that are important for our end user, and assemble them in a way to make it easy for our partners to use, but also now find their proper target audience. And that's going to be more or less by signals in the marketplace that we can use that aren't cookies, that aren't mobile IDs.
Got it. All right. So now you have a sort of a catbird seat in the industry that you see lots of companies. I think there aren't many companies who don't do business with IBM in some way. When you think about the customer universe, who's doing it right? Like, who do you admire? You say, that company, they're really doing great things.
One of my favorite companies and really use case is the Behr Paint Company. So Behr, they're a great example of leveraging AI's ability to simulate human thought processes at scale and to kind of change how it connects with its consumers against a business challenge that they had. So let me just take a minute and describe what that is or what that was. So the do-it-yourself painting segment had declined. And as a result, consumers feeling overwhelmed with choice, struggling to choose paint colors, and really not wanting to take on the project by themselves. As a leader in DIY, Behr Paint was interested in reaching consumers with personalized recommendations to help make that process easier. So they offered this color discovery tool on their website, but that failed to scale to their target market. So they partnered with us, and leveraging IBM Watson Advertising Conversations, which formerly was called Watson Ads, which uses Watson's machine learning and natural language capabilities, Bear was actually able to innovate on top of its color discovery tool. And the result was an in-app personalized ad experience that reached a broader range of consumers and provided them with unique color recommendations and tips. So with conversations, they exceeded the benchmarks. They saw meaningful time spent with consumers. But what got me most excited about this, and where I think this product kind of hits that home run, is that Conversations acts as a small mini group, a small mini focus group. And Bear learned valuable insights such as consumers are more interested in quiet, relaxing tones versus bold colors, dark colors. They wanted color choices that help them create rooms of tranquility, of traditionalism, of timelessness. And what's cool about that is Bear is now using and leveraging those findings to improve their ongoing product and marketing strategy. And that, the time spent and all of those, engagement metrics are great, but where this AI can take you to influence your marketing strategy is really where, like I said, it nails that home run for me.
Well, as you were saying this, I was wondering if they give you advice on the wall behind you. The texture and color is quite nice. And so, all right, now, let's say you had a client who's the big boss, goes to the digital department and say, look, we need to get a much more advanced AI-based advertising platform or approach to this problem. And the clients are newbies at doing highly automated. What couple bits of advice would you give that client?
Okay, so similar to that Bear paint story, I think you always need to lead with the problem that you're trying to solve for, and determine if AI can help, right? Like, AI is not a magical thing that you can just apply to enhance something. You really need to go back and think about what the problem your customer or your business is facing, and how AI's ability to understand, reason, learn, and interact can help with. So I'd say that would be my number one. Number two, seek out trusted partners. Partners that are upfront with how their tech works and what data they use. And the third one I would say is just invest in educating yourself and your teams. Last year, and still ongoing, we partnered with Adweek, IBM Watson and Adweek, for an Institute of Brand Marketing. And it's really these snackable courses on topics like chatbots and technology and the creative process, but things like that can, really kind of help you learn and move yourself in the field of AI, to help explain how it is not scary and how it is manageable. I think that's a very important step to take as well.
Cool. So now, shifting gears, in our previous conversations, you have impressed me as someone who's an innovator and sort of focused on the next big thing. So what's getting you excited now in digital advertising, AI? Like, what's the next big thing that you're passionate about?
Sure. I mean, is there a year when things don't change in this marketplace? But I will say at this moment in time, I think where societal and economic issues are compounding with industry headwinds like the deprecation of the third-party cookie, changes to those mobile identifiers, and the increased demand for trust and transparency, I think that this has given our industry permission to rewrite the playbook, to come together and build a new forward that is both privacy forward and effective at scale. I think I'm most excited about the innovation that can occur if smaller companies come together and champion that open and unbiased technology.
All right. Well, now let's, as a final question, continue that future look. Where's everything going to be in 5 years? Like, what's your future vision?
Well, my hope is that the industry is less focused on the identity of the individual and more more focused on identifying the signals around the individual that enables brands to create that trusted value exchange with their consumers in a way that isn't intrusive. So, today I think consumers are too often bombarded with messages that fall short. There's a ton of data that's being created that is going unused. So if we can lean into AI as an industry adopts, its standards at scale, I think brands will succeed in delivering messages of value to their consumers that drive, performance and also drive loyalty.
Got it. All right. Well, that sounds like a good future. So I want to thank you for joining us today. I think your the information provided and content will be really valued by our customers, and I'm sure that the fact that you say consultative and collaborative is going to be something clients are interested in, so they might contact you.
I hope so.
For that. And again, thank you, and congratulations on really making Watson a force in the industry.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed our session.